Yeah,
attorney too.
yeah, that's okay. We're just
Okay.
got to do the
The
pledge and
attorney?
everything.
All right.
And the chief. Why is everybody gone?
Call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Mitchell,
Here.
Councilman Best,
Present.
Councilman Zapata,
Present.
Councilman Petrolanda,
Here.
Mayor Bain.
I'm here. Okay, tonight we please stand for invocation. Councilwoman Zapata.
Dear Lord, as we gather here today as elected officials to make decisions for our community, the beautiful city of Miami Springs, may we be guided by the most ethical sense of judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us. And may we act only in accordance with what is best for our community and our constituents, who after all have placed their trust and faith in us. Amen.
Amen. Ready? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I know the person for the Yard of the Month isn't here. So, Councilman Best is going to present the certificate of recognition since he brought forward it. And
Through the chair, I'd like, I thank you for that, and I'd like to bring Councilman Petrolanda up there with me for this, as a veteran.
Is Walter, is the family here?
Yes, they are.
They are here?
Yes, they are, Mayor.
Come on up.
I'd just like to mention, and I thank the mayor for the opportunity to do this tonight. As a veteran of the United States Air Force and Councilman Petrolanda is a veteran of the United States Navy, it's not often that we have this opportunity to acknowledge someone of this stature. Walter D. Niffin's name appears on the War Memorial on Curtis Parkway. It's been there for many, many years. Few know about it. We did honor him at a recent ceremony at Memorial Day this past May. And a member of the family is here tonight, Mr. Bill Niffin, his son. I'm going to read the plaque, which we ask that the city extend to the family this evening. This is a certificate of recognition presented to the family of Walter D. Niffin in honor and memory of the heroic activity of Miami Springs resident Walter D. Niffin, who fought in World War II. Mr. Niffin was a warrant officer in the United States Marine Corps who gave up his life for his country on February the 23rd of 1945 at the decisive Battle of Iwo Jima. Mr. Niffin was a pioneer settler of Miami Springs and our town's first town marshal. The City Council and citizens of Miami Springs honor a longtime resident and United States patriot, presented this 22nd day of January 2018. Councilman Robert A. Best for Mayor Billy Bain, City of Miami Springs. Welcome.
Thank you, Councilman West, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I want to thank the people of Miami Springs. I grew up here. It's a great place to live. And I want to say that this is something that's going to be valued to my family for many years to come. And I especially want to thank Paul Dotson, who had a lot to do with this. Thank you very much.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
One more one. Uh-oh.
Do we have anybody that signed up?
No. No. Not in open
Got it.
forum, sir.
Jamie.
I'm going with Commissioner Sosa. Later on. Okay, we know it's open forum. Nobody signed up to talk at open forum. I'll give you the courtesy if anybody wants to talk in open forum. They're welcome. Anybody?
Tammy.
Okay. Okay, we go to 6A, January 8th, 2018 regular council meeting. I need a motion.
Motion to move, Mayor.
Second.
You almost got him. Call the vote.
Next meeting.
Next meeting.
Vice Mayor Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Best,
Aye.
Councilwoman Zapata,
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes, we go to reports. There aren't any. 7, 8, public hearing, none.
Mayor, could we go back? Isn't there a report from the Parks Board?
It's on one of the items at the,
Oh, it's on another item, okay.
11G.
yeah,
Okay.
it's 11G.
Okay, we go to consent agenda, 9A.
Yes, one item, this is funded and/or budgeted. Recommendation by Recreation that council approve an expenditure in an amount not to exceed $11,940 to Happy Recreation, Inc., the lowest responsible quote after obtaining 3 written quotes, which are attached, for the resurfacing of 2 of the tennis courts at the Miami Springs Tennis Center, as funds were budgeted in the fiscal year 17-18 budget pursuant to Section 3111C2 of the City Code.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve consent item 9A.
I second it.
Any discussion? Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Best,
Aye.
Councilwoman Zapata,
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes, we go to old business, 10A, a resolution.
This is a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Miami Springs, Florida, approving an interlocal agreement between Miami-Dade County and the city of Miami Springs for film permitting services, providing for authorization, providing for implementation, providing for an effective date. This is a renewal of the film agreement that we had with the county that expired. And this is basically just so that movie companies that go through the county for permitting, if they want to do some shoots in the city and all that, it allows the county to issue the permit. We approve it, and then there are fees associated with it, depending on what area, what site they want to rent, and for how long.
Through the chair, to the manager, is this typical that it would go through the county? And in asking that question, I suppose I wonder, why don't we have more control over something like that, since it's our geography?
Well, there are companies that approach Omar, for example, to do shoots at the
Right.
community center and come directly to us. But when you have major studios like out of Hollywood,
They go
or-
through the county?
They go through the county.
Okay, fine, that's fine.
RT.
Having said that, motion to move the item.
So I second it.
Any further discussion? Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Best,
Aye.
Councilwoman Zapata,
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes, we go to 10B, a presentation from Tammy Key of the Cavalier Clock at the Circle.
Yes, let me read the memo that Tammy prepared. Presentation of information on town clock options in honor of Mayor John Cavalier Jr. There are 3 town clock manufacturers in the U.S., Verdon, Electric Time, and Steinberg. The following is a PowerPoint presentation comparing the various clock options and pricing. Recommendation needed from council on how to proceed. Tammy?
Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
Okay, so I did a little bit of research on the 3 clock manufacturers that are in, well, they're not really in the area, but in the United States. So we had some discussion about doing a memorial clock for Mayor John Cavalier Jr. Let me click through it here. Okay. Mm-mm. Let's try this.
We won't have to wind this clock every time.
Well,
Yeah, we're gonna call you out to do it.
we'll take volunteers for that.
Can we do it manually right there?
What's wrong? What's going on?
No, it's just
Not
not
moving
working
the
right. It's
clickers.
okay.
Yeah.
Use a laptop.
Bring the mic. You could bring.
right. So in recognition of the mayor, his service to the city of Miami Springs, a clock we were suggesting be dedicated in his honor in the city of the center, in the center of the city. There are 3 clock manufacturers in the United States. Currently, it's Verdon Bells and Clocks of Ohio, Electric Time in Massachusetts, and Sternberg Lightworks of Chicago. Here's a comparison of the 3 different companies. Verdon Bells and Clocks installation, we'll look at that first. Yes, they do install the clock. Electric Time, no. They did want to charge us a fee for supervision of this only, which I thought was a bit odd. Sternberg does not do installation. They just ship it to you simply. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Okay. Service contract. Verdon Bells, yes, they have a technician in the state of Florida, and the technician is an employee of Verdon. Electric Time, they do not have a service contract, and Sternberg, they have a service contract, but they are not an employee of the company. They contracted out. The clock
Hold on a
materials-
second. Hold on.
Sure.
Okay, start from the first one and go down all the what.
Okay.
Go down
Okay.
first and then go to the next one.
Confusing.
Yeah.
Okay. So Verdon Bells and Clocks, they do installation. They offer a service contract, and the technician is in the state of Florida. The clock material is cast aluminum coated with fiberglass. The clock face material is Lexan. The lighting is LED, and the warranty is 3 years.
And they do their own. They'll do the
Yes.
installation.
They do the installation.
Okay.
The only thing that the city will have to do is we'll have to run electric, but the area that we were considering, or that we had considered, there is electric in the area, and we would have to pour a footer as
Okay.
well for the clock. And we'd also need a cherry picker to pick the top of the clock up during the install. So
And we
we'd
have
to-
all that in-house to do.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we don't have the cherry picker, but we can get that.
Okay.
So, electric time installation. Installation, no. They only supervise it, which they wanted to charge. It was $1,500. Service contract, no. They do not have a service contract. The clock material is cast aluminum, no fiberglass coating. The clock face material is acrylic or laminated glass. The lighting is LED, and the warranty is 3 years. Sternberg, installation, no. They just simply ship it to us. Service contract, they have a contract available, but it's not, the technician is not an employee of the company. It would be contracted out. The clock material is also cast aluminum. The clock face is polycarbonate. The lighting is LED, and the warranty on this was 1 year on the motor and controls and 5 years on the finish. We looked at 2-sided clocks as well as 4-sided clock options. These are the 2-sided clock options. This is a 36-inch face, 3-foot face. Verdon has 4 options available, all 36 inches wide. The Georgetown is 15 feet tall. It runs $16,800. The Florida Lee is 13 feet tall, 9 inches at $22,000, $900. The Howard Replica is 15 foot 6 inches tall at $22,200, and the Front Royal is 16 feet tall at $24,700. This price includes installation, shipping, custom header, and gold accent paint. The custom header on some of these clock designs, it has a bit of a header at the top where we could have in gold lettering, we could have the city of Miami Springs put on both sides, and it also is the gold detailing on the rest of the clock as well.
And that's part of the price.
That's part of the price.
Okay.
The bronze plaque option, which would be at the base of the clock, is an additional $1,000. We can pretty much have anything on there that we'd like, and that would be the dedication to Mayor Cavalier.
Okay.
Electric Time had one option in that size, 36 inches wide, 15 feet 6 inches tall. It's called the Large Howard. It's $20,000 and $20,150. The price includes installation, supervision only, shipping, the custom header design that says City of Miami Springs, and the gold accent paint.
All right. Now you said their installation, supervision only.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, supervision only. They did not get back to me on the pricing for the bronze plaque. They said they would, and they did not. Unfortunately, this company does not have a representative in Florida.
Okay.
Sternberg, they had 2 options. They are only 29 inches is the largest option, 13 feet tall. the Ellington at $21,000 and the Victorian at $23,000. These prices include, let's see, they include shipping. No option for installation, no custom header on the Ellington. It doesn't have the space for it. And the price for the Victorian includes custom lettering. They also did not get back to me on the pricing for the bronze plaque. I had some concerns when I spoke to them because they hemmed and hawed a little bit about how they were going to attach it. It seemed to me that perhaps this wasn't something that they generally do. So here are some images of the clock options. This is from Verdun, the first company. They have the Georgetown, the Front Royal, the Howard Replica, and the Fleur de Lis. Not a huge difference in design. The Front Royal has a little bit of a curlicue on top, but other than that, there's a little bit of height difference in some of them, and of course a thinner pole for the Georgetown. Electric Time and Sternberg, these are the two-sided clock options. Electric Time is the Howard, very similar to the one that Verdun offers. There's Sternberg Ellington and the Sternberg Victorian. This is a rendering that Verdun Clock did for us of the Howard Replica 2. I went out with a representative and took a walk around town, and we looked at various places in the city center. We looked at the Circle. He felt like there was too much going on there visually already with the gazebo and the memorial and the Miami Springs sign. We looked at the end of Westward, but he thought that would be problematic. He said you really want to keep these away from the trees if you can, and there's a lot of tree canopy right at the end of Westward Drive. And then we looked over here, and he said, well, you know, this would be a nice option because you can see it driving this way, you can see it driving the other way. We may want to reposition it if you'd like. He wasn't able to do that because he didn't have an image of the area, but they photoshopped this image in to show us what it would look like in situ. So not only will this be an enhancement to the city center, but it would also be a fitting memorial for the mayor.
Mayor, I like this. Can you go back?
Sure.
I like the spot. The only issue that I have with this spot is we need to build a structure so no car can run into the
Right.
clock.
I did speak to him about that, and he was saying, you know, if we do the footer and we do a big enough footer, that it shouldn't really be an issue because, of course, they would hit the footer before they actually hit the clock. But we might want to do some, you know, some sort of a perimeter around it as well, like a planter.
Poles. I saw one
Or
with
poles.
poles.
We
Nice
could do that
poles.
as well.
Maybe a chain.
The nice thing about all these clock options is they are atomic clocks, and they do reset if there's some sort of a power outage as well. And just to mention the Verdun service contract, they said that they could offer that at $500 a year, and they would come out anytime we needed them to do any sort of service or maintenance on the clock. So there are some four-sided options, also 36-inch across. Verdun, the Howard Replica, 16 feet tall, 7 inches. 16 feet tall, 7 inches tall, $27,600. Fourscore, number 2, which is also 16 feet 2 inches tall, at $29,160. This includes installation, shipping, custom header, and gold accent paint. Of course, the bronze plaque is still an additional $1,000. Electric Time has the Seth Thomas, which is 19 feet tall, and it comes in at $55,400. It includes installation, supervision only, shipping, the custom header, and the gold accent paint. Sternberg did not have a four-sided option. They are primarily a lighting company, Sternberg, so they only had 2 of the two-faced options. This is what they look like. This is the Verdun Howard Replica, the Seth Thomas. This is Verdun, the Fourscore, and the one on the end is the $50,000 version from Electric Time. Verdun also did this rendering of the Howard Replica Seth Thomas on Curtis and the Circle, so we can see what that looks like, all 4 sides. So my conclusion was that Verdun Bells and Clocks offers a wider variety of clock options. They include installation and shipping in the price. They offer a service contract and utilize their own service technicians who are available in the state of Florida. While Electric Time had some similar clock options, they do not provide the above. Sternberg offers only 2 two-sided options with a smaller clock face diameter. Verdun was the only company that made a site visit and provided quotes as well as renderings. They were also very good at getting back to me with the questions that I had.
Through the chair, Tammy, did you have the opportunity to walk to the site with Verdun when they came here?
Yes, I did. I walked around the city with them as well. They actually did one over by City Hall for the city of Hialeah. That's one of their clocks. So if you'd like to take a look firsthand, that's the closest one.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually Verdun bells and clocks, and at some point in history they installed the bells over near your house, Councilman Best.
Interesting.
At the church.
They did
At All Angels.
They did All Angels bells?
Yeah.
Oh my
They wake me up at 11 o'clock every Sunday. Anyway,
I'll give you their number.
all right, I
You can
should
go
be
look.
up by then
11
anyway, you know, but
11 o'clock. That's good.
11, sorry.
11 o'clock, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, Tammy.
Well, I think that we can start by saying we should go with Verdun and Bell.
I agree.
Okay, I think that's the company.
I think.
Do I have consensus or
Yes.
all right?
And I would like to ask the council to consider the four-sided.
Okay. The four-sided and
Mhm.
they were talking about, well, the one that they have the rendering of,
This one.
the one here.
Look.
Which one is that one, the rendering of the four-sided?
Four-sided?
That is, let's see, that's the Howard replica. It's 27,600. In comparison to the two-sided Howard replica at 22,200. It's about a
Plus
$5,000
$1,000.
difference.
Plus 1,000 for the bronze engraving, yeah.
Plus
So
$5,000.
it will be 28,600 or 23,200.
Yes.
I think the four-sided, the ability to see it from different areas, especially when you have traffic and all this, we don't want people straining their necks to try to see two-sided, so it's certainly worth the money.
And there are two color options as well. There's black with gold accent, and there's also the green with the gold accent. He showed it to us in the black with the gold accent.
All right, do we have, do we want to, okay, we're going to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we proceed or ask the city to negotiate with the Verdun Clock Company for a four-sided clock. The one thing I'd like to consider with this, the coloring, is whichever one is the most visible. Best visibility for motorists, you know, and people that are walking. So if you could, and that's probably just a judgment call based on information from the company.
Okay.
Just keep in mind that green is kind of goes with the theme of our logo for the city.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what shade of green we're talking about, but green is.
Probably 100 green.
It would be the same as the light poles out here on Westward Drive, that hunter green. There are some light poles in that color, but there's also some black fixtures in the circle I noticed as well. I think the crossing sign is black as well. We could also consider doing some lighting around it if we wanted to do, you know, a raised base for it, or maybe some flowers and something like that, so it's more visible as well.
I, through the chair, I kind of like Councilman Mitchell's motion on this, but for some reason that fleur-de-lis model has got my attention in our
Oh,
packets.
Which, the what?
The fleur-de-lis by
Okay.
Verdun.
The two-sided.
Yeah. I'm not sure what four-sided would do for us on that circle. You're going around one direction. You're going to see the time one time.
Councilman, but it's also for people on the bike path, who are walking on the sidewalks, who might be at the gazebo.
Well, I think that
So
the
it's-
directional positioning would make a lot of sense in that
I
area.
think if you moved it north to south instead of east to west,
Right.
you can get, on the two-sided, you can get the people on the circle and the people coming up Curtis.
I don't know. I just aesthetically, the fleur-de-lis just kind of appeals to me. I don't know if you saw it in.
Anybody else have an opinion?
And it's in Roman numerals, which I'm sure John would appreciate.
Yeah, there's three options. You can do the Roman numeral, you can do the regular, and you can do a Victorian.
Yeah.
Mayor, since we have Mrs. Cavalier here, could we ask if she has anything?
Well, I know,
No, it's not fair to you. You don't know.
She has it in front of her.
she can make her opinion.
Yeah. I'm very grateful for this. No.
So you just go with our decision. Okay.
Mayor.
Second.
Georgetown, that one, and the Fleur de Lis is over there. It seems like the Georgetown is skinny, like it has like a stick going.
Yeah.
And there's a little,
Yep.
I mean, artistically, that's what I'm looking at.
You're an artist.
And then the other one, the Fleur de Lis, is that comes with the base?
Yes.
Yes.
I like that it comes with the base. And then as far as the numbers go, what do you think the people are? They could learn Roman.
Joni, I think that would be beneficial.
Educational, at least.
A little bit of history here.
It's all gonna be beautiful, and I appreciate it, and my daughter's crazy about this.
Okay.
Nice, Joni.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, do we have so we have a
I have a motion for the four-sided.
four-sided clock. Do I have well, but which four-sided clock? Because let's make sure the motion's correct.
Yeah, it's got to be there's a
Which
model.
one? Which model?
Mhm.
Are those the only two four-sided for
I think so.
Verdon?
Yeah, I think so.
Candy,
Yes.
there's two choices here.
In that size,
I'd
yes.
like the one with, my suggestion would be the one with the bigger face.
Mhm.
You know, wherever possible, just to make
The
it easier to
four-si-
see.
The four score.
Which
The-
looks like the,
The
The
four score?
Howard.
to me, it looks like the one on the left has a bigger face, but maybe it's the,
The Howard?
The Howard. Yeah.
or maybe they're the same. It's hard to tell because the photos
They're
aren't.
the same, but they're the same size, aren't they?
Let's double check here. The Howard.
They look low.
The Howard's a little bit taller. It's 16 foot 7 inches, and the four score's a little bit shorter, 16 foot 2 inches.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the clock face.
Faces, yeah, they're
They're
both.
the same.
The same.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they're both
Same.
36
Okay.
They're the
on
same.
each side.
So we'll say the Howard?
So I think the difference is the Howard is regular numbers and the.
No, you have
Yeah.
the
four
option.
score-
You have the
Oh.
option.
Okay,
There's the
good.
option.
Good.
Uh-huh.
So you're making your motion for the Howard,
I
the
am,
four-sided Howard.
I'd like to make the motion for the four-sided. I'm open to
Howard.
either of the two, if somebody has a preference for that.
All right, we got a motion for one of the four-sided clocks,
This one here, the one that's up here?
Mm-hmm.
but
That's,
she's not
that's the
picking.
Howard.
Yeah.
No, that's not the
Why is it? Is this the one you're talking about?
The clock that's there, which one is that one?
That's
That's
The
the
Howard.
Howard.
Okay.
That's the
Mhm.
That's the
Okay,
Howard.
yes,
That's
uh-huh.
the one she.
No, she's not making a choice on which one. She's just saying she wants a. We'll get started with
Four-sided.
if council wants to go with the four-sided clock. So I have a motion for a four-sided clock. Do we have a second for a four-sided
You've
clock?
had it, sir.
Oh, you did? I didn't hear you.
Oh,
Sorry.
it's because you were talking, I was suddenly. But you do, you have it.
Did he say it?
You have it, you have it, you have it.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Uh,
All right, let's make a vote on that. Call the roll.
Vice Mayor Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Best,
Nay.
Councilwoman Zapata,
Yes.
Councilman Petralanda,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
To me, in one way or another, it doesn't matter, but
Right.
I'll say yes. All right, so we're going to go with the four-sided clock. Okay, and then we're going to go with the Howard. Can we make that motion now?
Tammy, can you turn the lights on?
Sure.
Through the chair, motion to move on the Howard four-sided clock with Roman numerals.
And
I
what co-
second that.
Okay, no. And what color? What color?
For the green, sir. The
Okay.
100 green.
All right, first
I
and
second that, yes.
Okay, so we're going with the Howard four-sided clock, Roman numerals, green. Call the vote.
Did you want the Miami Springs on the top?
Sure. By yeah, of
The accents?
Well, we didn't talk about the language on the deal yet either, did we?
No.
Should that be part of this motion, sir?
I do you need all of this information now?
Yeah, I guess.
Not really. We can get this
Okay.
squared away, then we can.
Okay.
Think
leave-
about the but
The basic thing is the top of the clock will say City of Miami Springs,
Right.
and then the plaque will figure out
We'll
what
have
language.
John's name on it and all that. Yeah.
how we
I-
whatever we want to
mhm.
put on the memorial as far as his name goes.
My
we can
motion
decide
stands.
that. Okay, got it?
Mayor,
Yes.
I think what we can do is just bring back a resolution at the next meeting to approve the contract with Verdon and also approve the language.
Yeah, but we're
and all of
approving
that.
everything
To go
for
forward.
that contract.
To go forward,
Correct,
Haiti.
But we'll bring back the contract to get it
Yeah.
approved by
What we're
council.
approving right now is that it's going to be Howard four-sided clock, green, Roman numerals, with Miami Springs on the top.
Should we include the plaque? Because there's a cost to that, right?
Yes, we voted on that. That was part of
Alright.
it.
Part of it? Okay,
Yeah,
fine. I'm
that
good
was
with
part
it.
of it.
Good. I'm good.
Of course.
Okay. Is the motion good enough for you? Clerk, is the motion, does it have everything in it? Is it from Bobby, though, because I made the
I
statement?
have
All right,
Councilman
all right,
Best
all right.
and Councilwoman Zapata second.
Right,
Yes.
and what's the motion?
The motion is the four-sided, to negotiate the contract with Verdon
Yes.
for a four-sided clock, the Howard
Replica.
Seth Thomas.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Oh, Seth Thomas.
With the color green, using Roman numerals in the face, with Miami Springs on the top, including the plaque for the memorial.
You got it, Bill.
Okay. Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Mitchell?
Yes.
Councilman Best?
Aye.
Councilwoman Zapata?
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda?
Yes.
Mayor Bain?
Yes. All right. So
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you for
Thanks,
doing all
Tammy.
that work.
Thank you.
Tammy. All right, so we'll have that next meeting maybe, or whatever we can, because we want to try to get it put up
Pretty quick.
before February 10th for the barbecue blast.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's really
That's my
close.
goal.
Of this year?
The what?
Yes, of this year.
That's aggressive.
Mrs. Cavalier said when I went to see her, well, it's going to take.
We
It's
gotta,
going to take a long time, she said. It's going to take a long time. Miami Springs moves, but I'm going to prove
We're
her
gonna do it.
wrong.
We're
We're
gonna
going
do
to
it.
try.
Yeah.
Just try.
Well, she'll call them, but I know they, I don't know, the shipping time and all that, I don't
We'll
know
try.
how long that's gonna take.
Well,
Give it a-
do the best you can.
Give it a shot.
Okay.
That's a shot. It's a goal.
Did we discuss how we're going to pay the funding for this?
Yeah, well,
The
as
city,
far-
city clerk's budget.
No, my thought to pay for this was to go ahead and use the money that we have, the 30,000 that we have dedicated to the museum, the historical museum. Since from what I understand from you, there's not much movement there, that we can use that 30,000 this year for this clock, and then reappropriate next year in the budget for 30,000 for their building because of the situation where they're not moving forward
We
anyway.
could do that.
So that's my recommendation, and I don't know if council wants
Has
to
a
go-
historical
Yeah,
museum,
historical museum.
but they informed us of that? I wasn't aware of that.
From what I understand, they
They,
got a bid.
they, apparently, they're having trouble getting quotes. They did receive one bid, and I was told it was in the neighborhood of $250,000, which I don't know how it became that amount, because originally they were talking about 60,000.
All right.
So they reached out to me, Mr. Watson, and I gave him a list of some of the contractors that we have in the building department, so that he could reach out to them and see if he can get some quotes. But as of now, there's nothing in the works. So
I would like to hear from the historical museum because we granted that to them, and I would like to hear them come before the board to give us a status on that before we make a decision of taking the money away from them.
Well, I don't know if you look at it taking the money away from them at this particular time. I don't mind you go ahead and getting an understanding, but they're not going to be doing anything in this fiscal year with that building right now. There's nothing that, from what I'm told. So why not instead of having to go out of the budget for this, why not use that money and then in October
think
when we make the new budget?
if I may suggest, this would have come from reserves anyway, so we can use the 30,000 that's budgeted already, and if they come back a month or two from now and say we're ready to go, we need the money, then we can reappropriate it and take it out of reserves.
At
that time.
I like
yeah.
that. I like that.
And it's a very good possibility they won't need that money this year anyway. But I agree with that scenario. So I would guess I would like a motion to do that.
May I just ask, would there be any delay should that happen, that they suddenly need the money, that they get a bid? Would there be any delay in getting the money out of the reserves and
Not
making
at
sure
all.
that they have the money
we can
available
come back
to them?
to a future council meeting and you can reappropriate it.
Yeah, I don't think it disturbs anything, and with that, I'll make a motion that we go that route.
Do we usually do stuff like this, where we give somebody money and they would just take it back?
It's
Well,
your
we
prerogative.
actually what we did is we didn't give them money. We appropriated money
That's what I meant.
if the chance existed that they would act on it. They have not done so.
Right, but I mean,
So for us to use that funding for something else with the intention of reappropriating it if necessary makes perfect sense to me.
they've only had 4 months to.
They've had 4 months, and we're speaking on their behalf, and they're not here, and I'm not comfortable with this. I just want that. I want that in the minutes. I'm not comfortable with this.
That's fine,
I-
but I don't
That's
think
all.
we're speaking on their behalf.
They're not here.
We're speaking on the behalf of the city's position as a city. We're not speaking on behalf of in the form of somebody that's we're appropriating money to or going to do. We're speaking for as a council for the money that's within the budget
What we
at
have
our
to spend.
convenience for the citizens of Miami Springs and what we think right now is appropriate to spend on.
I understand,
Okay,
but they are not here, and they had.
You made your statement. And
I-
I'm making mine.
And when you're done, I'd like to continue making mine.
Okay.
Because they had an event at the city where they introduced all that, and they've continued to have some events where they're trying to raise funds and they're making an effort, and I would like a status from them before we make that decision. We all voted as a board on something, and now we're going to decide to take it away with the people are not here. I'm not comfortable with that. That's my point.
Okay.
Is it possible, Mayor and Manager, just to take the money directly from the reserves and not involve the Historical Society at all?
I think that's the way to go.
I mean, we're just talking about a shell game, kind of,
Right.
you know,
That's
what we
right.
call what.
Right, so what's the
Could we
difference?
and I agree with Councilwoman Zapata that just even as a courtesy, we
Exactly.
told them we had this money
Right.
and now for us to be doing this. So can we just take it out of the reserve?
That's fine.
And ultimately, it's going to be the same money
If that's
we have
what
at the end of the year.
That's what you do, but it's no different if you do it the other way around, because if you do it this way, you appropriate it from there now. It's no different than down the road if they need the $30,000, you're going to take it out of the reserves anyway.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
There's no difference.
So if
I
it
think
makes no
it's
difference,
right.
then
I
let's
think
just
it's,
do, you know,
It-
it has
but it-
implications to the people that we awarded money to, has implications.
There's no implications.
I don't view it like that, and I think that it's a wonderful thing what we're doing for our ex-mayor Cavalier, and very deserving, and I'm very proud to be part of this board deciding
All right,
to do that.
Make a motion.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we
You
take
have
the
one,
money
Mayor.
out of the
You already
reserve.
you already
No,
have
I-
one. You have a
I have
motion.
the motion for.
And
to
I haven't.
take it. Oh, I have a motion to remove it from the.
Historical Society.
Sorry, do I have a second?
No, not to remove it from the Historical
No.
Society, to use funding that has not been used by the Historical.
Okay, that's your motion.
That's my motion.
Do I
Not,
get a
that
sec-
has not been used. Make sure
Okay.
that's,
Do
make
I
sure
get
I'm
a
clear on
second?
that.
Do I get a second?
You're not getting it from me.
All right, I get no second. Falls from no second.
Okay.
Another motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we use the money for the Cavalier clock at the Circle from the reserves.
Second.
Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Best,
Aye.
Nice.
Councilwoman Zapata,
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda.
Yes.
Mayor Payne.
Yes. All right. There's your clock.
I'll bring, at the next meeting, I'll bring a budget amendment to
You got it.
reallocate those funds
You
from
got it.
reserves.
Okay, we go to an ordinance, 11A.
This is an ordinance of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, amending Chapter 150 of the city's Code of Ordinances by amending Section 150-030, sign regulations, to update the sizing formula for multi-story buildings, providing for implementation, providing of incorporation into the code, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing for an effective date. You have a memo in your packet that was prepared by Chris Hyde, our city planner, and he's here to address the changes in this ordinance.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. There are essentially 4 changes that are being proposed by this ordinance. The first is really housekeeping. The current sign code addresses 3 zoning districts that no longer exist and don't address the zoning districts that we now have. So when the districts' names were changed and things were retooled, we neglected to go in, this is many years back, neglected to go in and change the names in the code. So we're going to add the appropriate zoning districts. The second thing is that we will be switching to an individual letter signs only, so that they are more uniform, more attractive, pretty much the better quality signs, and businesses that are more familiar with marketing really use these kind of signs already. So we'll be removing cabinet signs, painted plywood signs, painted wall signs, painted banner signs, all those kind of things. individual letters only, and there's a broad spectrum of individual letters from a routed plexiglass, molded plastic letters, right in through channel letters without electric, and channel letters with electric would be sort of the top. The other thing we're going to do is make them proportional. Currently, you are allowed to have 30 square foot of sign no matter what the size of your business. So if you have a 10-foot storefront, you get 30 square foot of sign. And I give that example here in the memo. If you have 150 linear foot of storefront, you get 30 square foot of sign. So it's completely unfair to the larger businesses, and it's too much signage for the small businesses. What we're proposing is to go to a signage formula of 1 square foot of sign for each foot of frontage. So in my examples, the 10-foot storefront would get 10 square foot of sign. The 150 linear foot storefront would get 150 square foot of signage, and so on. So everything is proportional to the size of the building that it's located. And then the final thing that we will do, that we're proposing that you do, is building identification. The signs that we see at the tops of our taller buildings are hotels, mostly the hotels, some office buildings that we have. And we're suggesting that there's a multiplier, that 1 square foot of sign per foot of frontage be multiplied by 1.5, 2, and 3 as you climb the building. Obviously, the taller you get with a sign, the smaller it's going to appear. So it needs to be larger to continue to appear, to read proportionally, and to be visible to the public. So it's really those 4 components. Changing the zoning district to be correct, individual letter signs only, proportional, 1 square foot of sign per foot of frontage, and then the multiplier for building identification, building top signs, those 4 things.
Any questions?
I have a question. So we're actually mandating if you're going to put the sign all the way up at the top of your very high building, it needs to be the sign.
No, you'd be allowed to do that.
They have a choice.
Yes, you could do whatever size
Okay.
you want, no more than 1 square foot of sign per foot of frontage,
Okay.
and no more than that multiplier. For the largest signs, it would be 3.
Right.
They can certainly do less, but we want to give them the opportunity to do what we think is a reasonable size.
Of course. I
Good
think
question.
it's great and needed. Thank you.
I have a question, Mayor, if
Sure.
I may. Chris, the signs, the logos, some of them, like I'm thinking of some of the hotels have a large logo and then they have the name. Is that all part of the logo, would be part of the square footage?
It's a
of the
great
sign?
question. It's not written in here right currently, and like I said, we will prohibit cabinet signs, and those are considered cabinet signs. The exception is going to be what they're called bugs in the trade, bugs or logos, and you will be allowed. The exception to no cabinet signs is going to be a bug or a logo that's associated with a channel letter set of signage, no larger than the letter set to which it's associated. So if you had Holiday Inn at 36-inch letters, you could have that green H at 36 inches, no bigger than that. So it would all be, again, proportional.
So the logo would fit with the
Exactly
sign.
right. Great question.
Okay, but I guess what I'm confused about is the logo and the sign, does that take up this total square footage of the sign, or it's the total square footage plus the logo?
No, the logo wouldn't be included in that.
In that
You
square
put a
footage.
theoretical
Okay.
box, top to bottom, left to right, and come up with a general size of the sign.
And then one other question, you said no banners? What about temporary
No,
banners?
no permanent banners. We have
Permanent.
plenty around that. Personally, I don't think really meet our code, but they're there. So I just want to make that clear that the permanent banner signs. No, we will still continue to have temporary banners, and in fact, my proposal is to make that a little more generous. Right now, I have businesses come to me that want to open, and they can't get their sign, their banner, until they're open. And I think that they should be able to say, coming soon, start to whet the public's
Right.
appetite for what's coming.
Surely.
Under construction, pretty soon you're going to have this business here. So I'm going to broaden that out to something once they pull a permit right on through 6 months into their business where they could have a banner and establish that. The other thing we will be proposing to make more generous is the window signage that we're going to propose, and that's going to come later, from 15% to 20% to allow people who want all that verbiage on their signs now that will be more limited to pick up the slack on their windows. But that's not before you tonight.
No.
No.
Mayor, I have a question. Now, are there any businesses not meeting this new signage size that might have to be grandfathered in?
You mean larger than?
Yeah, because
There-
you're setting up a maximum.
There
you're
are
setting up a-
probably some. They're legal non-conforming now. They will remain legal non-conforming.
So you're going to grandfather
Their
those
status
in?
will not change.
Okay. Motion?
Motion to approve.
That
That's first reading.
No, this is first reading.
First reading.
Motion to approve the ordinance for the signs.
I'll s-
Second.
Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Best,
Aye.
Councilman Zapata,
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda,
Yes.
Mayor Bing.
Yes. Nice job, Chris.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Go to B, a resolution.
It's a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, approving an interlocal agreement between Miami-Dade County Department of Water and Sewer and the City of Miami Springs for the rehabilitation of the Miami Springs well fields, providing for an authorization, providing for implementation, and providing for an effective date. As you're aware, WASA was here a few months ago, gave you a presentation of some of the work they're doing at the golf course and in some residential areas. And Heidi's been working with them on getting this agreement ready to make sure that the agreement protects the golf course and the residential areas from any damage or anything that they may do during their work. So I don't know if you have anything to add, Heidi, or...
Mayor and council, yeah, we're still negotiating the agreement somewhat with the county. We sent revisions back to them, things that would improve the agreement for the city, and hopefully we should be hearing back from them in the next couple of days. So tonight, the resolution that you would be approving would be to approve the agreement that's before you in substantially the form. So there may be some revisions that may come back from the county, and if there's anything incredibly material and adverse to the city, we'd certainly bring it back.
Sure. Can I entertain a motion? Can we get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Best,
Aye.
Councilman Zapata,
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda,
Yes.
Mayor Bing.
Yes, we have another resolution.
This is,
11C.
11C, this is a recommendation by Public Works that council authorize the issuance of a purchase order to Train utilizing Miami-Dade County bid number 6046-2/12/2 in the amount of $10,628 annually to be paid in quarterly payments of $2,657 for inspection and maintenance services to the City Hall Train AC unit as described in the scope of services agreement pursuant to section 3111E5 of the City Code, for which the funding has been budgeted for the fiscal year 17-18.
On motion?
Through the chair, William, these are this is to do with the maintenance only, correct? Not to do
Correct.
with the actual units themselves, the
Correct.
chillers and all that.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to move agenda item 10C.
Second.
11C.
Second.
11C.
11C. That you were saying 11C? Got a second?
You do, sir.
I gotta ask anybody have any further conversation on this? Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Best,
Aye.
Councilman Zapata,
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda,
Yes.
Mayor Bing.
Yes. 11D, a revolution.
Is a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, rescinding resolution number 17-3736, accepting a term sheet from Iberia Bank for a revolving line of credit loan to finance working capital needs and emergency purchases, authorizing such revolving line of credit loan in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $2 billion, awarding the revolving credit line of credit loan on a negotiated basis, approving execution and delivery of a loan agreement and a note in connection with such loan agreement, providing for the payment of such loan and note and certain pledged revenues of the city, and a covenant to budget and appropriate legally available non-ad valorem revenues, providing for authorization, providing for certain other matters in connection therewith, and providing for an effective date. As we mentioned at the last meeting, you had approved the line of credit with Iberia Bank, and I told you we'll be coming back at this meeting with a resolution so that we can close sometime this week.
Okay, I have somebody wish to speak on this. It's a very prominent lady in Miami Springs, Nori Owens.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Neri Owens, 169 Corridon Drive. I have a problem with this particular agreement. It's for $2 million, not $1 million like the one you were rescinding, and it's at a 4.5% variable interest rate. Variable based on the Wall Street Journal Prime, which is always floating. And there's a 1.5% per month unpaid balance, and if you go for 10 days without making a payment, there's a 5% charge. It's a secured loan. You're using your half-cent sales tax revenue, the state revenue sharing tax revenue, and the communication tax revenue. It seems to me that in this agreement, everything is to the advantage of Iberia. In the Sabadell letter, the recommendation from Mr. Alonso showed was for $1 million back on August 28, 2017. Sabadell's interest rate was 2.75, and it was fixed. Then you had another bid for SunTrust at 2.73 and City National Bank at 1.86. And yes, the fees were better with Sabadell, but there's a $1,000 draw legal fee every time you withdraw from this loan. I don't know, it doesn't state in the Iberia whether there is a $1,000 withdrawal legal fee every time you withdraw or not. But my concern is it's twice the amount. It's 4.5% floating, it's a variable rate, not a regular rate. And the assumption that we will pay it back in 3 months is not true. During Wilma, we didn't get FEMA reimbursement for over a year. During Hurricane Andrew, it was more like 3 years, because FEMA makes you resubmit the information and make sure that you dot every I and cross every T. So we'd be paying 4.5% or higher, because right now the economy is going up and interest rates are climbing. So by the time you actually asked for a loan, you might be at 8 or 9 or 10%. God knows what it would be. And you would be paying it for at least a year, maybe 2 or 3. My suggestion is go back and ask for a bid on $2 million get 3 quotes like you did before. Check SunTrust, check Citibank. This city has had agreements with them before. Or check other banks. We have banks here locally. I wouldn't go for this agreement at all. I think it's not in the city's best interest as a longtime resident. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think, thank you, Ms. Owens. Through the chair, I think we need to allow the manager to respond to this.
The reason the rate is different is because there are 2 rates when these loans were issued, either a taxable or a non-exempt. The rate that was originally quoted by Sabadell and SunTrust and all the other banks, they give us 2 rates, the tax-exempt rate and the non-tax-exempt rate. It turns out that emergency costs for FEMA are not considered a tax-exempt purpose, like building a new senior center or building a facility. So they, when we went back and forth with the attorneys, they could not get the IRS to provide a tax-exempt rate for this type of use. So we had to go with a taxable rate. And if you look at most of the original quotes that we got from the other banks, they gave you 2 rates. They gave you a taxable rate and a non-taxable rate, a tax-exempt rate. And usually most of the taxable rates are based on the prime rate, the Wall Street prime. And that's why you have the difference in the rates. Now, as to use, what happens is, for example, right now we have over $8 million in the bank because we received all of our tax money. So we still haven't received a bill from Crowder Gulf for the debris cleanup. That's going to be a huge bill. So when that comes in, say it comes in at $2.5–3 million, whatever that is, we have the money in the bank now to pay it. Where this line comes in handy is come September, where we don't get the new tax money for the next year until December. You have about a 3-month spread there where we run low on cash because of that. And that's where this line comes in handy. It can carry us on those lean months until we get the money in December. So that's why I said in my memo that most will use this line during a year is probably 2 to 3 months while we wait for those other funds to come in. So it's not like we're going to be paying 4% for an entire year.
So this would be effective for 2 or 3 months, possibly.
Correct.
Is there a reason why we went from 1 to 2 million?
Because of the costs
Okay.
involved. You know, our total cleanup costs are going to be $3.5 to $4 million. And Ms. Owens is right. You know, FEMA, I know during Wilma and Katrina, we got our money within the first year.
It's not happening this time.
But this time, from what I'm hearing out there, it might take us a year and a half to get our money.
So basically,
Indications are it's going to continue, FEMA's going to continue to delay
Yeah.
payments in the future too.
I mean,
or
I've
more.
had people I know up north that are still waiting to get paid from Matthew, which was what, a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead.
The only issue I have here is that variable interest opposed to fixed, because I think the economy is doing better and the interest rates are just going to start going up. So we might find ourselves paying, what is the interest right now?
It's based on the Wall Street Prime, so it's about 4 point something.
It could be a month from now, 8, because we're engaging on a variable interest.
Most of these line of credits are variable.
You can't find one that's
You
fixed.
can't. You're not going to get a fixed rate on a line of credit.
I thought we had it before
For which one?
for the million. I think that's what Ms. Owens.
No.
no, that was last meeting that was discussed.
Yeah, that was based on tax exempt.
This is not.
But this is not this type of use now. It's the IRS will not allow it to be a tax exempt use.
So they're all variable then.
They're all variable.
That's not a good thing. That's scary.
Is there usually, when you choose a variable though, isn't it a cap on how much it can increase? Per
No,
year?
it's based on
totally based
whatever
on the prime.
whatever the prime rate is.
So, William, what you're saying though is that we're not waiting for FEMA money this is just a gap for that should something happen in that period, which is highly likely that it could, and that we haven't had the tax revenues yet, it would just ensure that we can provide the services we need to the
I'm worried about that
residents
gap from September to November.
for an emergency.
Right.
William, if we don't use any of this money, are we charged for it?
No.
Not at
No,
all.
The only thing we're paying right now, you have to pay closing costs.
Right,
when
right.
you
The
close
closing.
but other
obvi-
than that, there's no fee.
Other than that, there is no
No.
fee. Okay.
Okay, I entertain a motion.
Motion to move the item.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Mitchell?
Yes.
Councilman Best?
Aye.
Councilwoman Zapata?
Nay.
Councilman Petrolanda?
Yes.
Mayor Bain?
Yes. We go to resolution 11E.
This is a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Miami Springs, Florida, approving a tennis professional services agreement between the City of Miami Springs and Manuel Fabian, providing for authorization, providing for implementation, providing for an effective date. I believe Heidi has some corrections to this.
Yes, Mayor and Council, the resolution, we're just revising it to provide that it's between the city and Matchpoint Enterprises LLC, which is Mr. Fabian's entity. For whatever reason, we had it down as Manuel, but it should be Matchpoint, and all of the corresponding documents have been updated accordingly.
This is simply a correction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Motion to move the item.
Second.
Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Mitchell?
Yes.
Councilman Best?
Aye.
Councilwoman Zapata?
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda?
Yes.
Mayor Bain?
Yes, we have F, recommendation from planning and regarding shipping containers.
Yes, again, I'll turn it over to Mr. Chris Hyde, planner, to read a memo that he prepared in reference to this item.
You may recall some time back we had a prospective business operator that was interested in doing a storage container development over in the NBD, and they got some encouragement to go forward. They went to the Board of Architecture Review. The board at its November 8th meeting did vote 3-0 to continue to explore the idea of shipping containers. However, they limited them to the CBD only, the Central Business District, and which really wouldn't have, which does not address the request of the business owner. It's in a different zoning district, and frankly, my concern is that in our CBD, in our Central Business District, Westward Drive and the Curtis Circle, it's a very traditional sort of downtown, and I'm concerned that the idea of the shipping containers doesn't really quite fit our community character. So, I'm open to discussion. I think There certainly are ways, if you decide to go forward in that direction. I think that we need to have a much tighter grip on how that happens, because they can be built from very obviously shipping container, sort of funky, edgy Wynwood kind of thing, right down through some steel and glass and wood clad that are really quite elegant, but underneath it all you still have shipping containers, and that does concern me. Personally, my recommendation is that we don't go forward with a change in our building code to allow that to be an approved building material. Right now it's CBS construction only. I think that's how we should keep it. But again, if you do want to go in that direction, I think we need to be exploring some ways that we'd have a much tighter control on where that occurs and how that occurs.
All right, so I think the decision tonight is whether we want to pursue this or not.
That's correct.
Here.
Really what is being requested is a amendment to the zoning code for the
Right.
building materials section to go from CBS only to add shipping containers as another approved building
Right.
material.
So, I'm the person that they approached me to bring it to the manager to bring this up. I've had different people call me from the city that think that this is not very appealing to the community. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we should. I would vote not to pursue the shipping containers in our city. But I'll leave this up to you. If I'll entertain a motion for any further discussion. But I think that that's where I'm going with this.
I would just like to say, Mayor, that I visited the 4 sites that they gave us of where this company had existing shipping containers, and you can tell that the landowners that are using the shipping containers are using them, it appears to me, as a temporary thing, waiting for the land value in that area, like in Wynwood, to go up. So, and that's not in fitting with Miami Springs. We want people
Exactly
to
right.
construct here to have a more
Right.
permanent, we promote ourselves as an authentic historical town.
Then they call them taxpayers. They put them there temporarily to pay your taxes and your carrying costs, to be removed in something.
And in
more
fact, one of the
permanent built
sites
at some point in the future. So it's
is already,
Yeah.
one of the sites is already, it's been removed
Okay.
and they're building a high rise.
Right.
Can we have a motion?
Well, for discussion, Mayor, prior to that, if you might, I think this is something that maybe is not ready for us yet, kind of thing. I would agree with your statement on that, but I think that we do not need to lose. We need not to lose sight of the fact that this could be something going forward that in appropriate areas of the city that we might be able to think about or foster going down the road.
Well,
Rather than just kill it. I mean.
Well, I'm open to a motion of whatever the motion is. We'll vote on. But
I would like to.
I've stated my opinion.
Okay.
and
My
opinion
my
is
thought
not
on
to
my
pursue
thought on that
spending
would
more
be
money on it.
my thought on that would be to agree with the planner's thoughts on this and to discontinue the movement forward on it at the moment.
So that means there's a motion not to approve what?
Correct.
The amendment.
That is correct,
I
Councilwoman.
second that.
Call the vote.
Vice Mayor Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Best,
Aye.
Councilwoman Zapata,
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Optimus. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Recommendation from Park and Parkways Advisory Board nominating the Yard of the Month for February, March, and April. I need a motion to
Motion to move agenda item G.
Second.
call the vote.
Vice Mayor Mitchell,
Yes.
Councilman Best,
Aye.
Councilwoman Zapata,
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. 12A. Request from the Optimist Club for liquor sales for the barbecue blast. Well, it says barbecue event on February 10th.
Yes, Mayor and Council. At the November 13th, 2017 council meeting, council approved the Optimist Barbecue event scheduled for February 10th, 2018. However, at that time, council approved the circle closing and funding, but not the liquor sales, which is part of the event. Staff requests approval, council approval to allow the Optimist to sell liquor during this event. Attaches their event application, which includes insurance certificate protecting the city.
I'm surprised we
Motion.
didn't approve that at the time, but I'll go ahead and make a motion and we approve it now.
Second.
Second.
I have
Further
a
discussion?
question.
Yeah.
I have a question. So the reason we didn't approve it before is because that would require police or something like that because there was alcohol, or
No,
what was
it
the reason
just-
we didn't
was
approve
just
it then?
An oversight.
It was an
Oh, it was an oversight.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
Mayor Bain's the one who told the oversight.
I'm telling you, you're gifted.
Thank you. Call the vote.
That's funny. Special.
Vice Mayor Mitchell?
Yes.
Councilman Best?
Hi.
Councilwoman Zapata?
Yes.
Councilman Petrolanda?
Yes.
Mayor Bain?
Yes. Okay, that's it.
Yeah,
That's
we're
the
at-
agenda. We go to
that's-
city attorney. Anything from
it's,
the city attorney?
Mayor, Council, we will likely be asking for an executive session on the annexation lawsuit, Sandra J. versus the City of Miami Springs. There's been some activity, and the court may be entering an order on one of the motions that's pending. So we may have some activity and just want to announce that
When
an
do you think,
executive
like?
session may be in order. We have a deadline, I believe, of this Friday to submit proposed orders to the judge, and then it's up to the judge as to when
Okay,
he
so it's
will
pending.
enter it.
Pending.
Yes.
What's going on?
Yes.
Anything else?
No, that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
We go to a city manager.
Nothing from me. I believe, just as a point of information before I turn it over to Tammy, I sent you an email about the Tiki Hut going up at the dog park today.
Go and work.
Also,
Tiki Hut?
At the golf?
Cheeky.
Yeah, he said
I know he
tiki,
did,
like-
but
like tiki.
we know what he meant.
He's special.
Also, I don't know if you've noticed some of the improvements we've done on the signs on Westwood Drive. We've put lighting on them at night. They look really nice. We had them cleaned up. The one over by Hammond and Westwood, we stuccoed the back of it. That used to be old bricks. We stuccoed and painted it, and I don't know if you've seen it, but it looks it's
dynamite.
impressive. It's
Looks
nice.
excellent.
We have a few events coming up between now and our next council meeting. The first one would be January 27th. It's on a Saturday. It's a free community health and wellness fair at the Women's Club starting at 10 a.m. that Saturday, January 27th. Also, we have the 5K race benefiting Chad Tuff Foundation at the Circle, and that's Saturday, February 10th, starting at 8:30 in the morning. And then again, the barbecue throwdown by Miami Springs, Virginia Gardens Optimist Club. That's on February 10th at 11 a.m. on a Saturday as well.
Same day?
Yeah. They
Yes, same
coordinated
day.
it.
Mayor, quickly before I've forgotten something. At the last meeting, there was a gentleman named Osvaldo who came up and he had an issue with some noise coming from the LNG plant over in on the Medley side.
Odor.
We met with the FEC people, and they determined that it's a refrigeration unit that they use there, and they're in the process of getting some insulation on it to try and lower the noise level. They will also be here probably at one of the meetings in February with their people to give you an update as to what that plan is, why it's there, because apparently most of the trains now are running on that liquid natural gas,
I think all of them are.
and that's what they use that facility for. So they'll be here because I know I've had some residents express concern about the safety of the plant and all that. And we've reached out to the county, we've reached out to emergency management people, they're all aware of it. They all claim it's very safe. So, but they'll be here sometime in February to address you on that.
Right, thank you.
Anything else?
No.
You sure?
Yep.
Councilwoman Zapata, you could go first tonight.
I'm
you want
good. I
to.
really don't have anything to say. This was a good meeting.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm good to.
You're
Well, I'm really excited, and we all know why.
Why?
At least some of us. We have the Dade County League of Cities
Oh, God.
executive board meetings. We're going to start being held here on our golf course.
Coming up.
After 5 years of begging and grabbing the president,
Had 'em here
Richard
before.
February 8th.
Yeah, I know, I saw it.
Cooper,
Saw the
Richard
email.
Cooper, I finally, with the help of the vice mayor and the mayor, you remember when we grabbed a hold of Gilbert and
I remember.
yeah, you do. That's all I have.
I remember.
You
Don't remember.
You don't want any accolades?
Don't need them.
I know you don't, and you never seek them either.
Thank you.
But I'm gonna give them to you.
Thank you.
I want to thank the vice mayor and the mayor for helping me make this happen. This is something that hasn't happened in decades here.
It's great.
And since I got elected, I've been after this guy to bring it here. We have something to showcase. So it's going to start. The first one is going to be on February 8th. It starts at 5. If you want a tour of the golf course, we're going to have a lot of important people here. So I figured, why do I not give them a tour of the golf course if they want one? So it's going to start at 5, and then the executive, everything starts at 6. So I'm very excited that's going to start, and I want to thank again the mayor and the vice mayor for helping out, and others. I remember, he's gone.
Oh.
The mayor, he was just here.
Z, he was sitting back there a moment ago.
He's there. You just can't see him.
Oh, that must be it. I don't have my glasses. Can I borrow your glasses?
They're not
The
going to help you. They're
mayor,
reading glasses.
Somebody else that helped out was former councilman Windrum. He helped out with that. Councilwoman Rosie Buckner helped me out with that. Every time we went to an event, we asked and we asked and we kept asking, and we made it happen. February 8th. Be there, please. Thank you.
You got it. Is that it?
I hope you're not going to bail out on us.
I'll be there.
Okay.
For sure.
I'll be there.
Councilwoman?
Thank you, Councilman Petrolanda, for making that happen. I agree. It's a great way for other communities to know about Miami Springs and Miami Springs Golf and Country Club, and that it's available for, to serve them. The only thing I wanted to say is, well, it was a great meeting, very productive. I just wanted to mention that last week we had the Solar Power Co-op, and there were probably, I think, between 25 to 30 people that attended. But what I think was really great about it is, I know I've been hearing from residents, South Miami requires everything to go solar now. Why aren't we doing the same thing? And I personally am, I would rather not see more regulations. I would rather see more initiatives about things like this. And I think having the solar co-op here provided an opportunity for residents who are interested or considering solar power panels at their homes to find out about it, to get a really great cost for it. So I think it's great that the city is providing this information and these initiatives and also the permitting fees are waived for residents. We don't need to regulate these things. We just need to make it, facilitate it for the persons who want to go that route. So thank you to the city manager and assistant city manager for organizing this.
Vice Mayor, you might want to add the fact that the co-op doesn't have to be all Miami Springs residents, because that's what the impression I was in. So that
it's
that
Doral,
changes the,
yes.
It's a community
dynamic of the
area.
game.
Right.
Bobby? Councilman Vest?
Thank you, Mayor. You know what? I'd really like to thank a couple of people here for what we were able to do tonight for the Niffen family. And those two people would be Councilman Paul Dotson and Dr. Bill Tallman, who were quite active in researching the history of Mr. Neffen and engaging his family. And certainly I'd like to thank the manager and his office for facilitating this, and Erica for helping me with it. And I think that was something that was duly handed out this evening. After all, there's not too many people in a 15,000 or 14,000 city population that have some of the things that we have. And I think when we recognize them and research them and go forward with it, that we act on it. And we did that tonight, and I'd like to thank the manager for that. That's all I have. Happy newness of years to everyone.
Well, we left this meeting last time. Alabama did win the national championship, after all.
I told you they would.
I think we did a real nice thing tonight for John Cavalier Jr. and his family.
Also.
I think it went better than I ever imagined, because when you get 5 people to try to make a decision, it's tough. I think we did pretty good.
Yeah,
and
we did.
I think it's gonna be nice too, because it's gonna be something that the community can use, and if we do the right, be diligent on how we want to approach how it looks there, with the imagination of the people that are working here now, like Tammy Key and her job, what she did.
Yep.
We appreciate that, and I want to say that this meeting. Oh, don't forget about the barbecue. What are they calling it this time?
The throwdown.
Big
Barbecue throwdown. It was
wrestling
2 years ago when they had it. It's a shame they couldn't. They changed it to this time of the year for weather reasons, because it kept getting rained out. I think it was in August, September. The last time, it was a phenomenal. They had a phenomenal time, except for it was cut short. Anybody who wants to go there and see, I happen to be judging the chicken wings, so.
Oh God.
I'm a connoisseur of chicken wings, any kind of wings. It doesn't matter, but try to get out there for the 5K, that they're going to do, And
Maria's running.
Yes.
is she?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or she's running, huh?
She is.
Okay, well, we're gonna time her and see what kind of time she
I think we
gets.
should root
We'll
for her,
report.
too.
Walking.
We're gonna. Oh, you're gonna walk
Oh,
now.
come
Oh, see, the truth comes
changed
out.
my mind. I'm walking.
I'm changing my mind.
See, the truth comes out, and you guys on the 30th and 31st, when you go up to Tallahassee.
Yeah. Well,
I
by the
just-
way,
I'm going up with Commissioner Sosa a week later. Better for my.
Oh, for the
my-
for the committees. And all
better
that.
for my my calendar. The last 2 days of a month for my business is like
End of month. Yep.
It would have been
Yeah, I got
it would have been terrible if it was the first 2 days of the month. I'd have went, but I can't go. I want you guys to remember. I don't know if we want to. We can't talk alone, so we're talked up here. When you talk, I think the main initiative that we got to think about. I hope we're all on the same page. Is to try to get money for that senior center, to try to get it built.
Yeah, really.
And so on. I think that if all four of you at one time and you're together as a group asking for that particular issue, and then from there you can go on to the other preliminary things that are on the list. But I would hope that's what I'm going to go with the commissioner, and I would hope that you guys would pursue that when you go up there. And this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, sir. Bill Tallman. He's a PhD?
Yes.
You didn't know that, Tommy? He got it like a year and a half ago. He'd been working on it for 10 years.
You
He
mean you've been
finally
calling
got it.
him
Yeah.
Bill?
Yeah, Bill Tallman.
I heard.